So there was no foundation in the ground or anything. It was just, the land and an idea that was floating in people's heads, and trying to grasp the concept of dropping 3,000 square feet in the middle of two existing structures, especially the 1870s one, was mind blowing. So I'm like, okay. I was like, you know what? I can't even price it on an idea. Put it all on paper, everything like that. And they did, and they sent it over to us, and I was just like, I kind of want to do this. Like, I didn't even know, like, it could have been a terrible, terrible business decision to do this project, right? But yeah, like, they had a bunch of people had already turned them down. I'm like, interesting. Like, why the hell would anybody turn this down? Maybe because the driveway is 1,500 feet long. I don't know. Because it does. It looks weird when you're driving up to it. Like, the driveway is literally like 1,500 feet long. It's just farmland on both sides of a dirt driveway going in the middle of nowhere. But once you get past it and you're out in the middle of it, you're like, wow, cool. I want to live here. So everything went everything went as good as it could possibly go for that project. So everybody's happy. So
and you made your money.
Yeah.
How do you bid a project like that? How do you quote that?
Well, we did square foot price for the new build, and anything tying in with the two existing buildings, you switch to time and material. That way you're safe. Right? Like,
yeah. People don't realize what connecting buildings entails.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
They're like,
it's just construction. It's just this, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, no,
it's not. It's a massive remodel to your existing house.
Yeah, there's a lot of points that especially with the one building, because the 1870s farmhouse was 3.5 inches out of square to what we were framing square.
Yeah.
So, right. So you got to be on your game when you're getting near that building to what will work and what will feather out. When you're talking about 3.5 inches, you're like, that ain't going to feather out.
Right.
But
it is. Yeah.
Here it is. It's all standing. It's feathered out. But that could have went horribly wrong. Myself and Ryan both had to have our heads on while we were doing it, just to make sure everybody was on the same page. There was a lot of communication back and forth. We can do this, but we can't do this, but we can make it look like this. How's about that? A lot of suggestions were brought to the plate. We redesigned the roof on the fly, because the original roof where we put the shed dormer was just a normal 10-12, and then it just had like a 312 mini skirt roof on it, and it looked bad. It was a pain in the ass. It would have been a pain in the ass to frame. It didn't look very good. And ultimately, it was easier for us to frame the shed dormer, right? So we were sitting there one day, and we had the engineer come out, because some things I looked at the print, and I'm like, there's no structurals here. I'm not gonna make this up on the fly. So we had an engineer come out, and we were discussing everything and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, where am I supposed to put this roof? What carries the roof right here? All right. So he came up with an idea, and I was like, I got a better one. I'm like, how about we just get rid of that? Stop trying to bring this roof down to a knee wall. Get rid of that. We'll shed dormer this back. I'll put a fake, like an eyebrow, to make it look like it was still the 10-12, but just the 10 with the shed dormer popping out of it.
Yeah.
And then we just call her a day. And he was like, cool. I was like, all right, now we're talking, right? Because there was all kinds of structural things there that didn't make any logical sense, Yeah. So this was the best possible outcome, and it opened up that room. It opened up that room so much better, right? So
yeah. Did he give you a commission for doing his work for him?
No, but I'm really, really good at suggesting things on the fly that work better in my benefit. This one actually worked out well for everybody, because aesthetically it looks a lot better as well. So
Yeah. My foreman was a framer before he did everything for me. And man, sticking him in a room with the engineer was bomb. It was
Well, that's
great.
usually
I just like, I like it was fun to watch.
yeah.
Um, we
That's
did
great.
a pretty interesting frame a number of years ago. We got hired just to frame a place. It was a golden ratio, so pentagonal building, but the front was arced. The 3 points in the front were
Mhm.
connected by an arc, so 108-degree arc. And
Nice.
so I'm like, we're looking at it, and the owner goes, because he drew it. He's an excellent builder and draftsman. He just
Mhm.
hired my crew, and he was like, "So what are we gonna do about the roof?" And I'm like, "Ugh, I don't like. Why don't you draw it?" And he's like, "I don't think I can." And
Yeah.
so we started framing where every day we'd be looking up, going, "How are we going to connect all this?" And it
Yeah.
was a super fun project. It was
It's a
really
pride
neat.
build,
Yeah.
right? It's
Oh
one
yeah.
that you'll just look back on and be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
I've done
it
a few
looked.
of those.
Yeah. Very cool. So, um, so are you teaching kids that it's cool to be in the trades, or it's cool to be an influencer?
Yeah, that's a touchy one, eh? Like that's a brain fart and a half. Um, well, here's my thing, and I hope to God it's going the right way. The intention is to teach the kids it's cool to be in the trades, and it's perfectly okay to make great money with these things and this
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, sole reason why I started the Canadian Carpenter page in the beginning. Like this page actually sat idle for 2 years while I decided what to do with it. I had no idea what to do with it.
Hmm.
I first got on Instagram, just like everybody else, just got on Instagram, and then my account got hacked, and I didn't know what to do because my original account was my name, and I was like, "What do I do?" So then I thought about it for a minute, and I came up with Canadian Carpenter, and I was like, "All right," I registered it and kept it, and I just let it sit there. And I had no idea what to do with it, and then one day I was just like, "You know what? Looking around and everything like that, like we're dying as a trade." And I'm like,
Yes.
what better way to try to inspire kids to come into the trades than on the platform that they're already on, which at the time it was Instagram, which now is more adults I think than kids. But I had started it like that, and I also started the hashtag framers are a dying breed at the same time, and I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know what I should be posting or anything like that, so I was just posting things from my day to day and things of that nature, and hoping somebody found it cool. And obviously, along the lines, people started to think it was pretty cool. And it wasn't to try to, I wasn't trying to stand out or anything. I was just trying to show kids this is a really cool job you can have. You could be doing this. You're outside all the time, running around in shorts, and you're not sitting in the cubicle coughing on the guy next to you, things of that nature. So it all made sense. So I had basically a calling now for the page. So that's all I did. I just kept posting and posting and posting day to day stuff, whatever I was doing at that day, just kept posting it. Now, the influencer thing kind of came unexpectedly. Um, I'm not going to lie and say I don't like it. I do. I love tools. Um, so being a tool reviewer, it kind of hit me off guard. Like
But even
I'll remember
before
the
you
first
were,
day. I'm sorry, what?
but even before you were an influencer, you were reviewing tools and
Yeah,
trying to better
things
what was out there with
things that
Milwaukee. And
things that I had purchased myself.
yeah.
Back in the beginning when we started doing tool review things, we were spending our own money. We were spending like there was a group of us, and we were spending like $25,000 a year of our own money on tools and showing them on here.
Hmm.
So once the brands got on board and they were just like, oh, well, maybe we should help these guys out a little bit, you know, and it kind of seems like that's the way it went, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's always been a budget for reviews, but they were going to website people. We had to show them that what we were doing was a lot different, because you never know how many people are actually looking at that website and reading the articles that someone had sat down and written. But what you can do is you can look at our Instagram and you can instantly see how fast it's going and who's seeing it and how many are seeing it, and how long it's been up. The metrics are just flying out of this thing. So it was like, I really like doing it, because like I said before that, I've always been a tool guy. Like, the guys that used to fix my tools were the guys that they knew me from. I always knew what was coming up next, and I wanted to be on the cutting edge of tools, especially if it was going to make me money, right? So I was always involved in that stuff. So when DeWalt reached out to me, because DeWalt was the first company that ever reached out to me, I didn't believe them. Like, I didn't believe him. He sent me a DM on Instagram, and I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. Right? And I blew him off and everything, and he's just like, no, really, I'm from DeWalt. And I'm like, nah, I don't believe you. So
that's
I
hilarious.
just let it be. He sent me a message. He's like, well, here, give me your email address. I'll email you, and you can see all my letterheads and everything like that for, the people I represent under the Stanley Black & Decker umbrella. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Here's my email address, right? So he sent it, and I looked at it. I DM'd him right back, and I was like, buddy, anybody can do that with Photoshop and, like, looking for the logos on the internet, right? And he's like, all right, well.
Wow. He's like, we got a live one.
Yeah, so I still didn't believe him. And he goes, okay, well, I'll just get to the point here. He goes, we're going to have a media event, and it was the release of Flexful. He's like, we want to fly you up to Quebec to attend this media event. And I'm like, you want to fly me? Get the hell out of here, right? I'm like, whatever. And he's like, give me your address, and I'll just ship you your ticket. So I was like, whatever. Gave him my address, right? And I even said it to my wife. I was like, some guy's messing with me online. He's saying he's from DeWalt, and he wants to fly me up to Quebec and everything like that. And I was like, he's gonna send me a ticket in the mail, plane ticket. See how this goes. Oh, well, I was stupid, because in 2 days I had a priority mail sitting in my house with freaking plane tickets in it, and with my all my itinerary for the show, what
Not
hotel
bad.
I was staying in, and everything like that. And I was like, wait, what's happening right now? Like, and it was great, and I had a great time with everybody, and I got to meet a bunch of people from DeWalt, which was amazing. Talked to a bunch of project managers. I actually, it was pretty funny, because I actually insulted one of the higher ups. I'm just going to leave their name out of this, but yeah, he brought the Flexvolt saw over to me, and he was like, "Oh, you're a framer." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you think?" And he hands me the saw. I'm like, "Where's the hook?" Right? And he was like, "What hook?" I'm like, "You're going to call this a professional tool, and you guys are going to put a hook on this thing?" I had no idea who he was. And he goes, "I should probably tell you who I am." So he told me, and I was like, that still doesn't change my opinion. Where's the hook?
Where's the hook, dude?
And I just told him, I was like, and I said, why wouldn't you guys put a hook on this? And he was like, we did a study, and people said they don't want hooks. I was like, did you do studies with homeowners or professionals? So that I got, and they were just like, you can't talk like that. And I was like, oh, no, I can actually. He asked my opinion, and I'm giving him my opinion. If he doesn't agree with my opinion, then it's fine. But ever since then, we got along, pretty well. They know what to expect from me, and I've had a very interesting experience along the road with the tool reviews and everything like that. Where I used to tell companies right away, if you don't have 100% confidence in your tool, don't bother sending it. It's not worth your time to send it and my time to break it. Don't send it. So that's how I was operating for the longest time. And a lot of people, bitch and complain still to this day, because they're like, oh, we saw you open up a tool, but you never followed up on it. I'm like, well, if you guys remember, I always said, if you never see it again, I broke it. It's not worth talking about. I'm not here to punch a company in the face every 13 seconds, because I'm not nice to tools. So it is what it is. But at the same time, before I keep going down the